Greetings! I'm Dr. Watts, your instructor for the semester, and I look nothing like the chick in the cartoon. For the time being, just pretend I look like the spirit of manifest destiny. She's pictured on the screen before you. It's kind of a joke, but you'll understand as the semester goes on. I wanted to give you a little bit of an overview of the layout of our Moodle course so that you know some things to expect. Of course, much of what I'm going to say is probably self-explanatory, but bear with me for just a moment. On the screen before you is our home page with some important information up at the top. The first thing I wanted to point out is that our course will be divided into weekly modules, and those will run from 8 a.m. Monday morning to roughly 10 p.m. Sunday evening. If it's a few minutes after 10, that's not a big deal. But I do close the class for just a little bit right there at the end of the week. It gives me a time to make sure I'm caught up, or at least try to get caught up on reading your responses. There's also a section here of announcements, and there will be important updates, and I try to email the entire group at least once a week, and I usually try to post it right there on the announcements so that if for some reason the email doesn't come through your inbox, at least you'll be able to see it when you log on to the page. Incidentally, I wanted to mention, especially if this is your first online class, that it's important to log on regularly, both for the purpose of these announcements, but also just keep the course in your mind. It's a little difficult sometimes with the literature class because there's so much reading to do that has to go on kind of outside of our Moodle course, but still it is important to keep us all kind of connected and help you remember you are taking a class and you want to do well on it. Well, there's a copy of our course syllabus. This week I'm asking you to download that, save it to your desktop, and read over the guidelines and a description of the course, as well as attached to that course syllabus is a copy of our tentative reading list. That's an overview of what I'm planning for us to read as the semester goes forward. It could change just a little bit, and I will definitely let you know in a week-by-week breakdown. There are also a couple of other resources here. You probably asked the question already, hey, do I need to buy a textbook? And the answer to that in our class is no, you don't. I'm trying this experiment. It's the first time I've taught a literature class using entirely open source or free materials that are available on the internet. It might be to your advantage as you progress through the semester to print out the assigned readings, but you certainly do not have to print out the entire text. And later on down the screen you'll be able to see that I link to the assigned readings for each week so that it's divided up just a little bit, and I hope that'll be helpful to you. Okay, well, over here you'll see that I've opened up the course syllabus, and the very first little gray box gives you the identifying information for the course, as well as some info on how to get a hold of me if you need to. I have some regular office hours. I'm on the Rolla campus rather than on the Union campus, so you might need to email me. Here is my office telephone number, the 466-4089, and here's my cell phone. Please feel free to use either one of those. Chances are you'll get a voice recording, but leave a message and I'll definitely get back with you. I want you to be successful in the class, and I most definitely am open to your contacting me either by telephone or email. I'm not opposed to receiving text, but please do know that I'm a little slow at texting back, and if you do text me, please make sure you tell me who you are so that I'll know who I'm responding to. Okay, well, super. The next part of the course syllabus is the course description and information regarding the required materials. As I told you before, it is not necessary for you to buy a textbook. The main text, a digital anthology that we'll be using, is this one, the Digital American Literature Anthology. It is linked to in our course, and so that should be helpful. There's a collection of audio-visual resources that I think will be useful to you. It's American Passages. Also, I link to that in the class, so there's nothing to purchase on your end. Well, yay. The next section I wanted to show you is the college's common learning objectives. This course qualifies as a Core 42 course, which means that it will transfer to any state institution that you might attend as you leave East Central College. There's also some kind of legal information, a notice of non-discrimination that you need to be aware of if you feel in this class or any other that you're being discriminated against. We certainly do not want that to happen, and we give you some contact information to try to get the problem resolved through institutional means. A lot of people have questions about conduct, and so I wanted to point out that in your student handbook, there is a pretty detailed breakdown on student conduct. The bottom line, or the philosophy of that section, is respect yourself and respect other people, and you can definitely refer to that as you need to. I also want to mention attendance because I'm required to take into attendance. That didn't happen in the good old days, but this is not the good old days. It's the here and now, and I do have to submit attendance. The way I calculate attendance in an online class is I expect you to log in at least twice a week and complete a minimum of 50% of the weekly activities in order to be considered attending for that week. And then the school-wide policy is that anyone missing more than 14 consecutive calendar days has to be either WX'd, or there has to be a good rationale and good communication as to what the problem may have been that necessitated not logging in or not being involved in the course. In a literature course, it's pretty important to stay abreast of the reading and stay abreast of the weekly activities, and you'll see more about that in a bit. There's a section on the syllabus in regard to academic honesty and plagiarism, and so the long and short of that is don't do it. And then the consequence in our class is if I discern that I think it's unintentional, I will work with you and try to help you see why there's a problem. If it's a copy and paste job, I consider that to be intentional, and I'm not real big on that, and I hope you won't be either, because it defeats the purpose of taking the course, and it defeats the purpose of trying to use writing as a learning tool. College has an early alert system if your instructors discern that you might be struggling in a class, or if there's some reason for the instructor to want to give an acknowledgement or encouragement, then there's an online system that I fill out, or any instructor fills out, and you get notified, as well as the Director of Developmental Education getting notified. And so we'll see how that goes. It's new this semester, and I hope it's all great. Finally, I wanted to show you the Learning Center contact information. If you have difficulty, particularly with the paper writing, and then if you believe you have a health condition or some disability which may require an accommodation in the class, please contact an access counselor, and that counselor will talk you through what to do in order to get those accommodations established. Okay, well, class format. I try to set this class up using an understanding by design model. The readings, as you will find, much of American literature draws so heavily from the writer's personal experiences, and so that's a unifying theme for our course. We're going to try to explore some essential questions which dwell on that autobiographical element and the notion that place is so important in shaping identity. We'll also ask ourselves some questions about the reliability of memory, both personal and collective, in rendering an accurate account of the past. I've mentioned to you already that the course is broken down in weekly modules, and then in regard to what you're asked to do, there are short writings every week in the form of discussion forums where you interact with me and interact with others, and sometimes little weekly quizzes on the reading assignment. You don't have one the first week, but we'll introduce those as we get going. There will be 3 exams. Those are primarily essay, and you'll gain more insight into that as we go along, and then at the end of the semester you'll be asked to submit a final project. Okay, so you are absolutely right. This video is getting a little too long for its own good, so I'm going to stop here and create another little segment to share with you later in the week. Again, welcome. I look forward to getting to know you better.